Hi, this is Brenden of PREMINT, Web3's Allowlist platform, and Vulcan, the best way to manage your Web3 Discord community. I'm here on the Edge of NFT, a great podcast loved by so many smart people like you. Stay tuned.
Hi, NFT curious listeners. Stay tuned for today's episode to learn how PREMINT empowers NFT artists to curate a list of real collectors, ensuring authenticity and trust, and how Vulcan, the ultimate safe haven for token gating your Discord community, is growing and changing to be so much more. Finally, hear how our guest's patience stands up to minutes, hours, years, or even decades of abuse. All this and more on today's episode. And before we go, don't forget that our Outer Edge LA event recently returned to Los Angeles, March 20th to the 23rd, 2023. You can now catch up on all the discussions, presentations, and more by heading over to watch.outeredge.live and registering with just your email address. Then you'll have access to over 60 captivating conversations and performances. Binge watchers are welcome. See you inside. Welcome to the Edge of NFT, the podcast created by Jeff Kelly, Ethan Janney, and Josh Krieger, the podcast that brings you the top 1% of Web3 today and what will stand the test of time. We explore the nuts and bolts of the business side and also the human element of how Web3 is changing the way we interact with the things we love. This podcast is for the dreamers, disruptors, and doers who are pumped about this ecosystem and driving where it goes next. On today's episode, we're happy to introduce our guest, Brenden Mulligan, the CEO of PREMINT, a platform dedicated to the Web3 community for all their NFT needs. It's a welcoming space for everyone from blockchain beginners to crypto experts. To give you a bit of background, Brenden is the driving force behind not only PREMINT, a platform trusted by over 4 million wallets, but also Vulcan, the safe haven for token gating your Discord community. Prior to PREMINT, he has led teams of talented product managers, designers, and engineers to create scalable consumer and enterprise products at startups and companies like Google. And about PREMINT, it's not just us who love it. It's being used by the world's top NFT artists, communities, brands, and even celebrities for their high-profile NFT projects. PREMINT is all about creating a fair playground. You get to decide who joins your list, making sure it's filled with real collectors, not bots. It's this level of care and commitment that makes it a favorite. Brenden, welcome to Edge of NFT.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's an honor, man. Thanks for coming by Outer Edge too. Glad that you can make the trip up north from your home base for that. And
it was great. Thank you for having me there.
Yeah, well, it's an honor. I've been following PREMINT and participated in the initial mint launch of PREMINT. I'm still a holder for full disclosure for our audience, and really it's because I saw something special there that hadn't happened before. At that moment, our industry was pretty fragmented when it came to minting solutions, and there was a lot of scams and challenges with the process. And you really made it easier for folks. And I've seen this like perpetual motion to make things easier for more people that you've really embraced. So thank you for what you're doing for our industry. And I would love to sort of understand more of the story behind the inception and kind of give us a little bit of insight into what PREMINT is all about.
Sure, yeah. So I've spent my career building tools for creators. And the theme that I keep coming back to is I generally get really interested in the community. I really want to see the creators have more time to spend creating and less time managing a business. And what I was starting to see pretty early on with NFTs was creators would launch their projects and for a while, no one cared, right? When no one cared about NFTs. But then as NFTs got hotter, when they launched the project, generally what would happen is it would get minted out incredibly quickly. Collectors and real people who wanted to collect generally walked away from the process having spent a ton of gas and not having gotten anything in return. But on secondary, on OpenSea, immediately everything was on sale. And so you could see that the people who were actually being able to buy the NFTs were the bots, not actually the collectors. And so I saw artists both bothered by this and starting to build do homegrown solutions. And so they started creating Google Forms, and they would ask people to give them their wallet address ahead of time. They'd create type forms or whatever. They would try to say, DM me your wallet address. It was just kind of like not user friendly and just kind of overall bad. And so really, it was one morning working with a single artist named Pindar Van Arman, who is the godfather of BitGans and just incredible AI artist. I kind of went to him and I said, if I built you a page where someone could just come on, connect to wallet, connect to Twitter, and connect to Discord, would you use it? Because what he was doing was using a Google form where you entered your wallet address and then you typed in your Twitter or Discord name. And so what he would have to do afterwards is then go and double check to make sure these people existed, to make sure the wallet had a real name. It was a ton of extra work. And so that's what Premint was in the beginning. It was a single page with 3 buttons. And the only rule it had was you couldn't connect your Twitter account to more than one wallet. So if you wanted to like submit 100 wallets to an Allowlist, to get on an Allowlist, you had to create 100 Twitter accounts and you had to create 100 Discord accounts. Now, today, that's not that hard because there's farms and stuff and people kind of know the process for this. But at the beginning, that was enough to basically dissuade most bots. And the other thing we did was we would privatize and hash an IP address, but we would track IP addresses. So if like the same computer signed up a bunch of times, the creator could know that immediately and disqualify that person. And so pretty simple solution. Like it was a very Web2 solution, to be honest, for the problem. It did have wallet connection, but the rest of it was off chain. But it was enough to sort of get the creator the tools they needed to be able to get a list of wallets that then they could add to an Allowlist for their mint. And so that was really the inception. It was working. It was like being in a Discord channel with about 15 artists that were all telling me their problems, working with one of them to solve their problem and letting them use it and tell me how it was working for them. And so that's how it started. That was last October of 2021.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, I remember that. We started the podcast in March of 2021 and like we were facing these challenges and talking about them on the show, and then Premint came along, and so it was a really interesting time. And what I find interesting about you from my Twitter stalking is how like intense you've been around an open customer discovery process since then, right? At that moment, it was like 15 artists. Now you've got millions of users and all sorts of feedback coming in that sort of you have to ingest and integrate, but yet you're still having an open dialogue with the community about that. And I'm just curious what that process has been and you know, how you sort of came up with this approach. You know, I'm a lean startup guy and you know, back in the day, and like, is there some lean startup in your blood? Is that really the genesis of all this? Or
well,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be totally honest, like I was interested in building for Web3 and building for creators. And so I built Premint in addition to 2 or 3 other things. I had like a SalesBot product for a while. And I was building this sort of member dashboard where you could see all of your holders, when they bought, what they own. I mean, this exists in a bunch of places now, but the idea was it would be like a place that you would direct your holders to go to, sign up, and they'd actually provide additional information. They'd tell you who they were on Twitter. They basically fill out a profile and kind of you can build a community there. So I was building a bunch of stuff at the same time, and I didn't think any one of them was better than the other one. I just thought they were all going to be useful, and I sort of let the community point me in the right direction of what to spend more time on. And so Premint, when it was launched, it was one artist, and for the most part, I would say for the first like 2 or 3 months, a dozen users, maybe. Users meaning artists. Like they had plenty of people coming in and signing up, but there wasn't like a huge awareness of it. But every user I got would kind of say like, oh, it'd be really cool. I mean, this sounds really dumb now because I feel like Allowlist based products are all kind of very similar right now. But when we built Premint, there was no other one to look at. And so, you know, originally it was connect your Twitter. And then I don't remember what artist, but some artist was like, hey, it'd be cool if they could follow me. I was like, oh yeah, we could make it so not only do they connect their Twitter, but they also have to be following you. And then another one would be like, well, I'd like them to join my Discord also. Okay, we'll make them join your Discord. Hey, it'd be cool if not only they were in the Discord, but they had a role. And so like these were literally like, it wasn't like I came to the space and I was like, I know the answer to this. It was just like, put it out there. Artists would recommend what they wanted to make it more gated to them. When we did a partnership or a launch with Gary Vee, they have like 300,000 people in their Discord. And he was like, it's really important to me that when I launch this Allowlist, that people can't sign up and then get on the Allowlist, sign up for my Discord. He's like, I want to reward my existing community. And so for that launch, we added a feature that you could set a date where like when someone tried to register, they had to have been in the Discord prior to a certain date, right? That was like working with one group, one community on what a solution to their problem is going to be. And so Premint today is the result of 100 conversations to build 100 little features to shape it into what we think is a pretty good solution right now. And so, yeah, the only way to do that is to kind of open yourself up to feedback and kind of build in public. And we've definitely had missteps where we've released stuff that people didn't think was useful, or it was one artist that demanded it or really wanted it, and we released it and realized they were so unique that it actually made the product more confusing to a lot of other people. So, you know, there's a balance there. But yeah, I think that building in public, you know, and we did this, incidentally, I did the same thing with the other products I was working on, and they got no feedback because they weren't very good. I mean, they were okay, but they didn't solve a big enough pain point where people were like, oh my God, please add this. They were like, yeah, it's cool. It's just, you know, it's a sales font, whatever. And so
it's almost easier
really
when you have, it's almost easier when you have 12 users, right? Because like you said, once you get to that level, 100 or 1,000, and you have all these feature requests, and then you go down that rabbit hole of that one that didn't matter to anybody and wasted all your time. Yeah. It's actually nice to start small like that.
Well, it's also funny. I mean, you know, the mint that you were talking about earlier was the collector pass mint. And so Premint evolved as a creator tool. You know, you collected names, they were in your dashboard, you exported the CSV of the names, you put them in Manifold, or you put them wherever you're going to mint, and that was your allow list. As a collector, you came to a page and you clicked a button, and we were told you were registered. And for like 6 months or 8 months, there was no next button. There was no like, check out the other list to join or see all your registrations. There's literally zero experience for the end user. And I think probably that's what YouTube was like for the first, you know, X amount of months or years, where it's like, you just went to the video page, you watched a video, and then you closed the window. And then they were like, oh, we should probably get people to keep watching videos or create their own account or be able to see what they've watched before. And so even that whole, like that entire side of the market, I mean, if you look at it at a marketplace, like we weren't even serving the collector for like the first 8 months until the collectors all started saying, hey, it'd be really nice to be able to see what I've registered for. I just forget. I don't remember what I registered for. I'm registering for premints all the time. I'm thinking like, yeah, we should probably tell people that. And like, it'd be nice to get an email notification that the mint is today that I won a spot on. That would be nice. Or it'd be nice to be able to browse all the projects, you know, looking at categories. It'd be nice to be able to, you know, all that stuff. And so that basically listening to that, and that was when we had, you know, hundreds of thousands of users, but hearing the volume of requests, that's what led us to build the collector side of things and launch the collector pass.
Yeah. You know, we got to dive into not only the sort of foundation of the idea, but really the details of kind of how, you know, the artists can kind of exclusively identify the people they want to be on their lists. Is there any details about that we kind of missed, or we cover, you know, the main idea around how the artist can decide on those type of things?
Well, I mean, so it's interesting is the market. I mean, at the time of recording, we're in a fairly deep bear market. And so as the market changes, sort of the utility or why you're using Premint changes. So at the beginning, it was all about filtering. It was like you could release anything and everyone wanted to buy it. So Premint was more about, I have 100,000 people who want to buy my NFT. I'm only releasing 10,000. How do you get from 100,000 to 10,000? Well, you do it with, you know, in order to be on the list, you have to do X, Y, and Z. You have to follow me on Twitter, or, you know, whatever the artist and the creator wanted to do. So they could design it however they wanted. Okay, well, how am I going to get from a smaller subset? Well, maybe I want to do partnerships with communities and make sure that, like, you know, I want people who have a Moonbird or a CryptoPunk or a Doodle to be able to get to buy this. So I want to set aside 300 spots for those people. And that whole concept of like collabs and doing joint partnerships with different communities kind of came out of the list being harder to manage. So we built a whole part of the product that was all around set aside spots for these different communities. So you can have one Premint list with sub lists for different communities. And so it was really like, how do we give the artist tools to be able to do the filtering however they want to filter? Now, when you flip to the time where not as many people are interested in buying NFTs, or gas is high, so it's harder to get someone to buy an NFT, or you know, the bear market and the liquidity is gone, whatever. Now a lot of artists are using it to, how do I get eyeballs on my project? You know, before it was like, how do I get people to get people away? How do I, you know, limit the amount of people who can buy? Now it's like, how do I raise awareness? How do I do my marketing? And so the same set of tools used differently are really useful for that, right? So if you're launching a new thing, it's like, I kind of need Twitter followers. So maybe I'll do a free mint, but in order to get the free mint, I need, you have to follow me on Twitter. Or I really want to, get other communities involved, and maybe by giving them some spots, that'll make them more willing to share my project with their community. So it's kind of people are using the same tools, totally differently.
Yeah. Well, you have this unique vantage point on what's really happening in the industry, like behind the scenes. I always hear there's only X many active wallets in the space or X many collectors. And there's probably no one in the space that actually knows the real truth here more than you. So I got to ask you, where are we today in terms of the level of activity of the NFT space?
Yeah, I don't think, a better data scientist than I could probably look at our data and give really nice projections and estimates on numbers. All I can tell you is that it is quieter than it was before, significantly quieter. And, and it's obvious. And most people have a lot of the liquidity and volume has moved over to, airdrop farming on Blur and meme coins right now. And so there's just not a lot of people out there. And you see this just in like the numbers of the volume on Blur and on OpenSea and everything. So how does that translate into the Premint world? Well, if there's less people out there willing to buy secondary, there's probably less people interested in buying primary, because there's a large group of people who were buying NFTs not for the art or the community. They were buying it to flip and to trade. And so our industry always had this, like, there was collectors and they hated flippers, but we kind of needed the flippers to get the volume. And it's a weird relationship, right? Like every time I would coach a project on a launch, and I'd be like, well, here's how we debot, here's how we make sure the only people who are going to buy are the collectors. There was always this like, well, we kind of need some secondary volume, because if there's no secondary volume, no people will think that the project isn't desirable. So there is this weird balance. And so now that whole like flipper side is gone, it's harder to launch a new project, right? And I think the best use case for Premint was, I'm launching a new collection of thousands of NFTs. So without that, we see a lot less people just doing Allowlist in general for brand new projects. And so it's obvious. It's an obvious answer, but like definitely volumes are down. What's great for me is scams are way down. Like our life was hell for a few months because all we did was just try to prevent abuse in general in Web3, but on the platform also. How do you stop someone from pretending they're going to launch a project, collecting names, getting someone to go to a website and then draining their wallet when we're not the minting platform? So we don't know, we can't tell you if that wallet's going to be a wallet drainer or the contract's going to be a wallet drainer or not. So we spent a lot of time building anti-scam, anti-fraud, bot technology, all that stuff. And now we don't need that right now, because a lot of the financial incentive to bot and scam is gone down. And so those people are moved on to do something else. So that's one of the things for us right now. That's great. So we see like a lower amount of volume, but the projects that we do see are like really artists that are excited to launch their collection. It's meaningful work for them. Collectors generally are really excited to collect. And so. Yeah,
we've seen that too, just in general in all our activities in space, that the slower times are where the dedicated builders come to the forefront. And in some sense, to the outer public, it looks like nothing's going on, when it's almost like that's when everything of legitimacy, that's worth paying attention to is going on.
Yeah. You can't really tell the future and to know what's going to happen in 6, 12, 18, 24 months. Like, will there be another boom? What will it look like? Like, I don't even try to pretend like I know. I do know that in every boom, everyone looks back at the bear and says, God, I wish I would have bought a Fidenza when they came out, or a Squiggle when they were, or a CryptoPunk when it was $300, right? It's like when things are amazing, you always regret not paying attention at this exact time. And so
it's when it's like most bloody and most hard to like, make the effort that you get the biggest reward, right?
Yeah. And a lot of the people that got the biggest reward, I mean, when the bull market comes in and everything's crazy expensive, and they like to talk like they're geniuses. But in reality, most of them didn't buy, 5 Fidenzas because they were like, this is going to be worth 100 ETH one day. They bought them maybe because they just liked them, or maybe they were like, no, I'll buy 5. I don't know. But what is this thing, right? It's only an ETH or whatever. An ETH is cheap. ETH is $100, whatever. So like, it's not even like the geniuses are doing it right now. It's just like, typically people who are active right now end up being rewarded later, assuming there is another time where everything comes back, right? So
yeah. So it'd be great to kind of shift over and talk about Vulcan and Premint and how that collaboration came together, and why. And can you tell us about that, how that all came together?
Yeah, so this is about a year ago, a little under a year ago. Like I said, our focus a lot has been, and you kind of mentioned, we've sort of been able to usher people into Web3 who aren't necessarily native to it. So Premint is a product that kind of looks like a Web2 product. It's easy to use. It doesn't require you to mint anything. You don't have to load it with ETH. There's nothing, you do have to have a wallet, but you can just download MetaMask and immediately have a wallet. So what we saw is we have an opportunity to just we care a little bit more about helping make sure it's a secure space. And we did this with Premint in general, with making sure that Premint, all around Premint was more secure. And we've done all kinds of crazy cool security stuff on Premint to make it easier and more secure. But when we did this analysis of where are the scams, every scam ended up with the same exact moment, which is someone connects their wallet where they shouldn't. And I feel like back then I was just there's too many people asking you to connect a wallet right now. It's really unclear as to what's going to happen. And so even though I think it's decentralized and all that, I sort of went with a Web2 approach where it's let's just limit the amount of times you need to connect a wallet, or new sites you need to connect a wallet to, just as a primitive belief of like on Premint, you connect your wallet the first time because we have to verify who you are. But after that, you can just sign on with Twitter. You don't have to connect your wallet ever again once you've done it once. And so to try to help people not have to do wallet connection at every turn. And so Discord obviously was a huge place where all the Web3 people were going. And then typically there was a bot that was sending them to some site to connect a wallet. And it's when the norm for an industry is go to Discord and then click a link to leave Discord to go to a site that you might have never heard of and connect a wallet. It just feels like we're just training people to be abused, because obviously there's a million ways that phishing scams and stuff could, if the behavior is go to Discord, leave Discord, connect your wallet, and that's just what we're all doing all day, every day, I feel like it's probably not going to be a good outcome. There's going to be no way to protect. So we started looking at what we could do with Premint to help with that. And we saw a really innovative solution in Vulcan, which was similar to Premint, was built by single founder, rapid iteration. Started his first server, I think, that ever had Vulcan was Xcopy. So working with real artists to make sure that they're solving real problems. And it was really nice. All they did was something slightly different, which was instead of connecting your wallet to Vulcan, they asked you to go update your OpenSea bio. Because the assumption is everyone's logging into OpenSea. OpenSea is a safe site. So in Vulcan, it would say, go to OpenSea and type in this set of characters into your bio. When you do that, come back and hit a button and we'll verify it. The only person who could have done that was someone with a connection to the wallet. And so that's their way of verifying that you own the wallet. I thought it was awesome. And it was starting to be very, very popular with the most highly sort of hackable and high asset servers. So you saw at the time the proof collective token was 100 ETH, and you saw all these servers that were the assets were really valuable moving to Vulcan from other solutions. And so the founder had actually written me months prior, and I hadn't even gotten the message, and he was like, hey, Vulcan's going really well. I'm not necessarily someone who's knows how to start a business around this, but I know that I'm solving a real problem. Would you be interested in working together? So when I reached out to him, he was like, oh, I already emailed you. And it was just this immediate chemistry between the two of us. And so we dug into it. And so last July, Premint acquired Vulcan. Adam, the founder, is on the team and still running Vulcan. He's also one of the best NFT collectors in the space, in my opinion. But he's also still one of the main Xcopy mods. So talk about user feedback, right? He's he's modding one of the best servers, most high profile servers out there while we're building all these tools. But what we looked at with Vulcan and Premint that we thought was even how can we take Vulcan and make it even better? Well, what we can do, since Premint had at the time 1 million Discord accounts that had signed in to Premint and connected a wallet, we were we can make this pretty amazing. You can go into the Xcopy server, you can hit verify. We're in the pre-Premint days, it would say go to OpenSea. We can actually just send the Discord ID to Premint, see if we know what the wallet is, figure out the wallets that Discord ID is connected to, and then look at the wallets to see if the Xcopy stuff is in there, and then assign roles. So if you've ever been in a Vulcan server, it's like, once we put this in place, it was so good that we had to slow the process down artificially so you knew what was happening, because it happened so quickly. But because people trust Premint and have signed into Premint, we can basically make it possible for you to verify your holdings without even leaving Discord, without clicking a link, without connecting a wallet, without anything, because we already have the data. And so it was like one of those, it's a cliche, but it was like a 1 + 1 = 3 type scenario, where we're like, on the day that we announce this acquisition, we can make the entire Web3 community safer. And the servers don't even need to do anything. It'll just be how it works now. And so, so that was like the initial, like, no matter, if we never add another feature to this, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be so much better. It was already better, miles better than what else was out there. And it'll be miles better than that. So,
very cool.
So that's where we started.
And are there any other features of Vulcan today that you just wanted to call out briefly?
Yeah, I mean, so what we've done with Vulcan, so that we did that, we let that just sort of be the improvement for the last, for the rest of the year. Starting at the beginning of this year, the entire Premint engineering team, all of my time has been spent with Adam on rebuilding Vulcan to be way more scalable. Like, I built Premint, it scaled way beyond what I thought it was going to be. I hired someone to come in and help me make it, be able to handle the immense load and traffic and user base and everything that we had. So we kind of had to do the same thing to Vulcan. And so we rebuilt Vulcan from the ground up, and we've slowly, and it basically, we built a framework that we can build a lot on top of. So sort of the next step in making Web3 safer, outside of just verification, is all these Web3 servers install a bunch of bots. And the more bots you have, the more like attack vectors you have in your server. So if you're installing a bot to check floor prices, a bot to do tweets, a bot to do support tickets, a bot to do verification, right there's 4 bots that could all be hacked. And once someone gets in, then they can do whatever they want to your server. And so we all met last fall and we said, okay, well, how can we keep Web3 safe? We can just provide more services that everyone, some of the basic stuff that people need. So over the past few weeks, we've rolled out an art bot that's modeled after the Xcopy art bot that lets you define collections your community can using / commands can sort of randomly post art into the community to keep the conversation going. The community can check the floor prices for certain collections in your servers by using a floor bot that we introduced. We just last week introduced a Premint bot, so you can and if you're in a Vulcan server that allows / commands, you can do /Premint, and it'll pull in your Premint account information and show you what you've registered for, what your upcoming mints are, all that stuff you used to have to go to Premint to read about. You can just do right in Discord now. The server can post Premint registrations into the server that no one has to leave Discord to register for. So you just see, like, here's the project, there's a register button, you hit register, it does all the stuff that it needs to do and tells you if you're registered or not. And so we've added all that functionality. We've added a way of the community. So that's one side of just like replace bots. The other big, like, sort of tentpole goal that we had was, how do we help a community, especially now in a bear market, how do we help managers manage their communities better, right? Like, all they know is people got a role. And so we're rolling out a dashboard, which will show you everyone in your Discord and why they're there, meaning like, hey, Brendan's there because he owned a guzzler. That's why he has this role. And so it'll allow the community managers, if someone's being disruptive, they can kind of be like, who is this person? When did they join? Like, this is all stuff that they never got to see before. And so starting to open up, like, hey, this person came in and they connected their wallet, they got this role, and here's who they are and why they're there. And on top of that, we added a whole support ticket tool. So people can come in and ask questions, and it's just like, it's all embedded in Discord. It creates sub threads in a support ticket channel, and people can ask questions, and you can prompt the person. So you can say, like, oh, what do you want to ask a question about? You want to ask a question about the upcoming mint? You can just reply back with, like, well, here's all the information on the upcoming mint. What's your question in regards to, like, my wallet isn't connecting? Okay, you can, so they can, it's like Zendesk, but it's inside Discord, and it's geared towards Web3.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's all about, like, how do we help people, keep their communities closer and safer in this time, and keep their Discord safer. So, and all of that is because we've totally rebuilt Vulcan to be able to add all of this stuff on top of.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, it's cool that you can integrate so much and add so much utility from what you've started with. A couple of questions before we go over to quick hitters. Quick hitters going to be pretty fun, I think, with you. But what about the roadmap going forward? What kind of things you mentioned a few things you're rolling out. Anything cool with AI? No pressure, but
No, I mean, I think AI is great. I'm excited to dig into it. There's still work to be done on some of the basics before we get into AI. And I think a lot of people, there's some AI stuff being built right now that's awesome. There's stuff that's flashy, but not super useful. We still have some sort of basics to build, right? Like, I still think it's like, we're going to tell you why people are in your server. I do think there's some interesting AI stuff around. Here's a problem that I would love to solve. It's very complicated and it probably will be a while. And it's just the way that the Discord data works is hard. But I don't know if you've seen this in Web3. You've got this community of people who, like, holders that are super supportive of the project. They love the project. They've been there for a while. It's like a good group and you're part of it and you love this group. Price goes up. Someone buys at a higher price, comes in, they're excited about the project, but for whatever reason, the market goes down, bad news, FUD, whatever, price starts going down. Now, the original people are still way above water and they're just still happy. But you have a couple people who are upset. And those people sit in Discord and just, it's like spoiled eggs, ruin the bunch, or whatever, rotten apple ruins the whole bunch. Like, they just make it a miserable place to be. And so you've got these like OG people who were there and positive and excited, being like, I don't really like sitting in this channel anymore because, like, this new person just won't stop bitching, or like, but like, they hold the NFTs, so it's not really fair to boot them. I've seen this in so many servers. And so you get like the OG people start dropping out and the channels, and then new people come in, and what they're exposed to when they get in there is the negativity, and then they leave right away. And you just watch this erosion of something that was really great, literally because of like a couple people. I think the other thing you see is like people who used to be supportive start getting sour. And generally the community managers don't see this until it's too late, is what I've noticed. And so I do think there's a place for AI around sentiment analysis that I think we could do something that would be really, really cool. And I'm saying it's going to come in a long time because it's like you're basically having to like read every message. And there's a lot of stuff about that I don't feel comfortable with, and I don't really know how we do it in a way but like, it would be really nice to say, like, not only are here your biggest holders, or here's your longest term holders, but like, here's your biggest fans. And then even more important to be like, hey, one of your biggest fans kind of is unhappy right now, right? Like, I think it would be a pretty amazing thing if we could start helping communities sort of however they would want to solve them, but give them tools to be able to like see some of the stuff.
I think it comes down to sort of making it easier to know your own community better and to respond more proactively to sort of incremental adjustments in the climate in that Discord. And talking about Discord and where it's going, that's like a whole other conversation I think we could have with all the quasi Discord killers trying to come to life. And it's a fascinating dynamic. But you get a chance to see a lot of projects come into the space. And so it would beget me not to ask, like, anything going on that inspires you in Web3 that you've seen recently that not directly related to Premint that you want to mention?
I would say that it's more of a theme. I think that like, one of you mentioned this before. It's like, it's during the bear market that the people that are sticking around build the great stuff. And I think that it's one thing to like come in, you're saying what are the new projects? It's one thing to be a new project coming into the bear market and building, because you kind of don't have the context of how it used to be. It's a whole different thing to watch the people that have been building continue to build. And so as far as like projects that I'm inspired by, I think that like, I just think that like the names that we all know, well, some of them, and I'll say why I said the caveat, but like, I think what Manifold is still doing and the stuff that they're releasing right now is awesome. Like, they're really like enabling creators to like look at releasing projects in a different way, or releasing an NFT in a different way. And you can kind of see like they had a feature, and then you see this little meme, like this happened a couple months ago, where it was like, there's open editions with burns, right? We all saw like 1 million artists do that. And of course it gets a little saturated right away, but it's so cool that they release like a new feature And suddenly we see tons of artists sort of fall, try it out. And I think that what Manifold's doing right now is great. I think what Art Blocks is doing right now is great. They're open sourcing stuff. They're trying to like give the community more tools, and it is so hard. And I'll even say OpenSea. Like OpenSea gets a lot of crap, but I think that they are pushing. They're continuing to innovate, and they're shipping a lot of stuff, and they're doing a really good job trying to figure out how they. I mean, it's got to be rough to be OpenSea, being like the king, and then this sort of the market disappears. So I think that Super Rare is still pushing out trying to do one-of-one auctions and show off really great art. I'm really inspired right now currently by the people who were kind of made kings, and now we've all been made peasants again, and there's no kings because the market's gone.
I love that. And Eric Calderon and Richard were both featured speakers at Outer Edge, and I run into Richard a lot, and he came to our hackathon and actually coached some of the builders, and it was a fan moment for many of them. He is a true deep believer in the space, and also someone I respect a lot. So those are some great shout outs that you shared with us. And we could keep going here, but alas, because you have to get back to building, we have to sort of move on to our quick hitter segment, which is a lot of fun as well.
Cool.
Let's hit that. So quick hitters, this is a fun, quick way to get to know you a little bit better. 10 quick questions. We're looking for just a short single or few word response, but you can feel free to expand if you get the urge. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. What is the first thing you remember ever purchasing in your life?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figure.
Nice.
That's a good one. We know some of the original voices behind that show.
All right. Second question. What is the first thing you remember ever selling in your life?
Baseball cards at a flea market.
Cool.
Both very fun things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also indicators of where your life took you. What is the most recent thing you purchased?
Oh, wow. I got groceries this morning. Is this an NFT question or is this a general question?
Whatever you like.
Whatever you like. If there's something interesting on the grocery list or NFT list, that's fine.
I'll give it. So, groceries this morning. I bought netting to get rabbits out of our garden off of Amazon recently. Recently being a few hours ago. And then my daughter just turned 2, and we bought her. We had a donut party for her, so we bought her sprinkled donut pants. So those are 3.
Okay.
Nice. And there's so
gotta
many
stop
vegan
those you gotta stop those wascally webbits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many vegan gluten-free donut options in my neck of the woods. If they haven't crept down to your neck of the woods yet, they will. What is the most recent thing you sold?
I sold these are such dumb, basic answers. I sold a set of plastic shelving on Craigslist 2 days ago. Was probably the most recent.
That's a little bit of spring cleaning there.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Good. But now I question, why did you sell on Craigslist? Do you need the money? Or do you hate to see things go to waste?
It's, and actually to be accurate, it was Facebook Marketplace, not Craigslist. But I hate throwing stuff away. And so we didn't need it anymore. And I mean, if it's not being sold on Craigslist, it's being given away on Nextdoor. Before it's getting thrown away.
That makes sense. All right. Next question, number 5. What is your most prized possession?
Interesting. I don't think I have an answer to that question. I'm not like a car guy. I like collecting stuff, but it's, prized to me is like a different level. And I don't think I've ever, I'm not trying to be, whatever it would be. I'm not trying to have an opinion on anyone else, but I would say there's not a lot that I'm just like, oh my God, if this disappeared, I would be so upset.
All right. Well,
I'm very thankful for time and flexibility.
Time in the air that you're breathing.
Yeah.
Certainly not missing those plastic shelves. All right. Next question, number 6. If you could buy anything in the world, digital, physical, service, or experience that is currently for sale, what would it be?
My last answer probably says that I'm not going to be very good with this one.
Remember, it's anything, you know, it's, you got a lot of options.
One of the biggest pain points in my life right now is we live far away from family, and I wish it was easier to get back and forth to see them. And so if there was a way for that to be easier, there's probably several different ways, but with a 2-year-old, it's not super easy or pleasant to jump on a plane for 4 or 5 hours. So if I could do anything I could do to make that an easier thing, so that could translate into buying a house next to our house that for family to live in. It could be
or teleporter, you know,
teleporter. Well, that seems like it's cheating because that doesn't really exist. But yes, if we're coming up with new stuff, yes, a way to.
You got to hire the boring company to create like a underground tunnel, that just rapid transit to your destination. All right.
Well,
next.
Something will come along. All right, Brenden. If you could pass on one of your personality traits to the next generation, what would it be?
I think that the personality trait that has served me the most across everything has been patience. So for my 2-year-old daughter, I think if she can grow up to be patient, I think everything that I'm be very happy with that.
Nice one. Yeah, I thought you were going to say curiosity, but I think patience almost precedes curiosity. You have to be patient to be curious.
Yeah, I think if you're patient, it gives more room for kindness. It gives more room for creativity. It gives more room for curiosity. If you get impatient, it just sort of blocks you from everything else. So
I love it. All right. Well, if you could eliminate one of your personality traits from the next generation, what would it be?
I mean, I do get impatient at times. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that.
Yeah. Well,
and then you could always say, what would your wife say?
Yeah, exactly.
Or your business partner.
That's kind of where I first go to, is like, what would she say? I don't know what she would say.
All right. We'll say uncertainty. All right. And then the next question is a simple one. Number 9, what did you do just before joining us on the podcast?
Just before this, Adam and I were on a Zoom or a Google Meet talking about Vulcan, stuff we're building in Vulcan, some things to fix in Vulcan, how things should work. So it was a product meeting. All
righty. And follow up to that. And the last normal question, I've got a bonus here, but what are you going to do next after the podcast?
I'm going to have an engineering meeting about how we can make Vulcan more efficient.
All right.
Like
we got that on the mind.
He's taking the whole time to build thing really seriously, Ethan, if you couldn't tell.
Indeed. Yeah. All right, here's my bonus question. Given that patience is one of your proudest traits, what's something that has tested your patience the most?
Well, because I seem to give non-topical answers, I'll try to be topical here. I have found it very hard in the past to, I've been in NFTs for the past year, but crypto for the past decade. And I feel like it's really hard to be patient during market fluctuations. And when I think about patience, when I really talk about patience, I think of more like a personality trait of patience and being able to be kind of cool, calm, and collected during times where other people might be impatient. But and I'm generally good there. I'm not very good when it comes to, oh my God, I just need to wait this out. Mm-hmm. That's a different form of patience. And I would say that it's really, really hard. It's been very hard in crypto where you have a thesis and you say, here's what I believe, and here's how I'm, in the past investing, I'm going to invest, and here's what I believe. But then when things are bad, sticking to those beliefs and not just being patient. And so I am historically the worst. I spy things and sell things at the worst possible time ever. I'm a way better builder than I'm an investor. And so when it comes to investing, I just get freaked out and I sell stuff right at the time where you're supposed to be freaked out. And when people who sell, that's when everyone's selling, which is why the price is so low. The smart people are buying. So that is probably been the biggest thing.
So you're human. Okay. That makes sense. But I have to say, I consider myself relatively patient as well, but it's those things that you have to be patient over the course of 5 or 10 years, right?
Mhm.
Where you're like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah.
All
Long-term patience. I guess my short-term patience I'm happy with. My long-term patience I'm not particularly good with.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes Quick Hitters. Thank you so much for participating. Briefly,
Yeah.
before we start to wrap up, we always love to do a little bit of a shout out. Any projects or people, just like one or two, that you might like to give a little shout out to?
A huge shout out to Adam, who built Vulcan. I mean, he's sort of an understated person, right? Like, I've been building for 20 years. I've had a lot of experience. This is his first real project. And so he sort of built this thing, but no one really knows him. They know Vulcan, but they don't know him. And you know, people get to know him more, but he's been he's one of the most authentic people in NFTs right now. And I think that it's been really fun to both, when you sell your company and someone else sort of takes some control over it and makes decisions around it. Like, a lot of founders are like, I'm out. Cool. You know, I sold this and you can have it. But he's like excited to keep building this out. He's excited about the space. He's just like, it's been a really, really great experience to be working with him. And then sort of in the space in general, I think that like the projects that I'm seeing that right now that I'm excited about, like Memeland has been doing a really, really great job. If you ever want to like look at how a community has built a community and then incentivized a community and like had a nice balance in NFTs, you kind of have to have like the balance of hype versus theoretical utility plus mystery plus delivery. Like, they're doing a really good job in like delivering enough to keep people interested, keeping enough as much under wraps as they can to keep people also interested, but like not delaying things long enough where people get bored. I don't know. They've done such a good job and I think in this market, it's like they're really fun to watch, because most other projects that are doing amazing work, the floor prices are dropping, the community's negative. Memeland is like, they're killing it right now. So it's a great project to watch.
Cool.
And full transparency, I've known the founder for 10 years. And because of that, I have some Memeland assets, but I'm not saying it because of that. I just think what they're doing is awesome.
Sounds great. Well, it makes sense you'd have some. All right. Well, appreciate that. It's always fun to learn about folks you're connected with or things that are exciting you. We can wrap up here, start to slowly wind down. I mean, next question is an obvious one. Where can listeners go to learn more about you and the projects you're working on?
Twitter is the easiest place, assuming that Elon doesn't do something where my account's shut down for some random reason. I'm at Mulligan on Twitter. We're at Premint, and we are at Vulcan auth, attempting to get the unused at Vulcan, but impossible to do that for some reason. But yeah, so that's the best place.
Great.
We also have some Blue Sky accounts, which like 3 weeks ago seemed like it was going to be relevant, but I haven't heard people talk about Blue Sky in a few weeks, so I don't really know what's happening there.
Okay.
But yes, Twitter is the place.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. We've reached the outer limit at the Edge of NFTs for today. Thanks for everyone to explore with us. We've got space for more adventures on this starship. So invite your friends, recruit some cool strangers that will make this journey all so much better. How? Go to Spotify or iTunes right now, rate us and say something awesome. Then go to edgeofnft.com to dive further down the rabbit hole. Look us up on all major social platforms by typing Edge of NFT with no spaces and start a fun conversation with us online. Lastly, be sure to tune in next time for more great Web3 content. And thanks again for sharing this time with us today.
The views and opinions expressed on the Edge of NFT podcast reflect solely those views and opinions of the show creators and its guests. We're learning as we go, just like you. Please make sure to do your own research. Our podcast is not financial advice. There are multiple strategies and not all strategies fit all people. You understand that you are using any and all information available on or through this podcast at your own risk.